MeMonster.
Chapter 11. Does that damn cat eat mana stones? Technically, you have to mix mana stone powder with meat for it to eat. It won't touch raw meat alone. That cat has some expensive tastes. Even if it eats just one mana stone a day, that's 300 million won a month, or 3.66 billion won a year. And that's for one meal. If it eats 3 times a day, the yearly food cost surpasses 10 billion won. Can't you lend me some money for the food? No matter how fast it grows, it'll take at least 6 months to reach adulthood, and I obviously don't have the tens of billions it would cost. Once it's fully grown, though, you wouldn't be able to buy it even for hundreds of billions. How about a little investment? Yuyan chuckled at my words. All right, don't worry, it's not a burden for me. Not a burden to spend 10 million won on one meal? I envy you, S-Class Awakeners. Even though I have 5 L-Class skills, they're all support type, so there's no way I could handle an S-Class dungeon like the Diamond Mine. Shouldn't a Dragon Slayer at least get both offensive and defensive skills? Something like Dragon's Breath or Dragon Scales. Maybe I just have awful luck. Tamed monsters can be handled by anyone as long as they have the owner's mark. But be careful when the owner changes, as the monster might get confused and resist, especially if the new owner's rank is lower. Yuyan said as he took out a pendant with a flat blue stone embedded in it. Speaking of which, what would my real rank be? My stats are F-Class, but with all these L-Class skills, could I be S-Class or higher? But in the system, even if you're S-Class, if you can't enter an S-Class dungeon, your real-world rank drops to A-Class or lower. St. Emily, Spence, is a prime example of that. So, in reality, I'm probably around A-Class. I took the pendant, the owner's mark, and headed back to the greenhouse. The flame-horned lion was still pressed against the glass wall, growling in frustration. Hey, kiddo, your owner's changed. I waved the pendant as I approached the glass wall. The lion tilted its head, looking back and forth between Yuyan and me. Grrr. Oh, it's calmed down. It's not showing any affection yet, but at least it's stopped growling and jumping at me. Even if it's small, it's still a monster, so don't go in alone for now. It'll take about 2 days for it to fully recognize you as your owner. Yuyan said as he unlocked the greenhouse door. I guess the glass wall isn't ordinary if it's meant to contain a C-Class monster. Are there any other monsters in the greenhouse? I've filled it with plants and animals from the dungeon ecosystem, but nothing monstrous. Actually, there's one. What is it? A 5th class, man-eating plant called guillotine. It's rare for a 5th class, but its fruits are useful, so I planted a few. Isn't that the man-eating tree that grabs people with its tentacles and dissolves them? Man-eating plants are on the weaker side, but a 5th class would be around D-class high tier. As an F-class level 1, I wouldn't be able to handle it even with A-class gear. Don't worry, it's been pruned. As long as you trim it regularly, it's safe. Yuyan reassured me as he opened the greenhouse door. A wave of warm air rushed out, probably because the temperature was raised for the flame-horned lion. Come to think of it, isn't it illegal to remove plants and animals from dungeons? There's no law about it yet. Domestic dungeons are considered part of domestic territory, so it's not considered smuggling. They just ask that you be careful not to disrupt the local ecosystem. So it was before the law was established. When was it banned? Was it after the Shinho Group snow butterfly incident? I put on the greenhouse slippers and stepped inside. Among the mostly unfamiliar plants, I saw a few trees and grasses I recognized. That vine is common in E-class dungeons. Rustle. With a rustling sound, the baby flame-horned lion appeared. It looked really cute now that it wasn't acting up. It was about the size of a fully grown cat, but its face still had that round, baby animal look. Its large golden eyes sparkled like jewels. Does it have a name? No. You didn't even name it? How cold! The lion was half hidden under a broad leaf, cautiously watching the two of us. It must have been confused by the sudden change in owners. Good boy, little one. I squatted down to lower my eye level and called to the lion. Come here. I'll take good care of you. The lion hesitated before approaching me. Just then, a sudden message window popped up. What? It has this kind of effect too? Tamed monster is filled with affection toward the nurturer. I gained the title Perfect Nurturer. Ooh, I can raise the lion and get rid of it after raising it. Tamed monster not filled with affection toward the nurturer suffers serious mental trauma and may become aggressive even if the rank is A or higher. Kia! The lion let out a small, playful cry. Oh my God, it's so cute! Then it rubbed its cheek against my fingertips before flopping over onto its back. What is this adorable thing? Its chubby paws, which looked like they were wearing gold socks, flailed around as it purred. Its thick tail wagged gently. Its fur was soft, warm, and so incredibly cute, it's driving me mad. How could you even think of killing something this cute? I said as I petted the baby lion that clung to my arm. It's so tiny, but it already knows how to retract its claws. All right, I'll hold you, goo-goo. You didn't act that cute around me. Even after you fed it for 2 months? Yeah, it tamed and followed me quietly, but it never wagged its tail or clung to me. It seems that the perfect nurturer effect is stronger than I thought. Maybe it's even more effective because it's a baby. If I can successfully raise this lion, I might be able to collaborate with tamers to produce top-tier rideable monsters. Just raising 1 or 2 a year would bring in a fortune. People from all over the world would come looking. Looking forward to working with you, little one. As I imagined a promising future, the baby flame-horned lion in my arms seemed even cuter.
If the skill application succeeds, I could say I acquired a monster rearing skill in a couple of months. It would sound natural if I said I got the skill while raising a baby monster, and by that time I should have a few A to S classes protecting me. Or I could just raise several high-potential baby monsters to keep by my side. Maybe I'll end up with a nickname like Beast Tamer. That sounds kind of cool, actually. Can I take him outside? Not outside the guild building. Accompanying a tamed monster outside of dungeons is still illegal. Don't take him to the first 3 floors where non-awakened people might be around either. In 5 years, people will start showing up on TV with cool-looking beasts as pets. When did the law change again? I carried the flame-horned lion out of the greenhouse. Yu-hyun suggested I should observe it for a day just in case, but I ignored him. I'm at least S-class with L-class skill effects on top of that, so what could possibly go wrong? It'll keep being obedient like this. What should I name it? By the way, Hyung, you shouldn't just accept orange juice from someone. What? Orange juice? Why the sudden mention of orange juice? The Hunter Shopping Mall. I looked at my brother with a sour expression. It's one thing to know about the endless black poison, but knowing what I drank too? Did you plant a spy at the Hunter Shopping Mall or something? Yep, he answered casually. What? Seriously? Yeah, most guilds have at least 1 or 2 people planted there, especially on the 6th floor. Since B-class and above hunters are the main customers, knowing what they're buying helps figure out their goals and schedules. Guilds' power struggles are more intense than I thought. But seriously, do I have to be cautious even at the Hunter Association? Isn't that going too far? So don't let your guard down even at the Hunter Association. It's even more dangerous to accept things from others and never go anywhere alone again. You should avoid restaurants near the association as well. Oh, but vending machine drinks are okay. But would anyone really try something like that inside the association? If they got caught, it would be a huge scandal. Besides, if awakened people lose trust in the association, it would ultimately harm the guilds too. Of course, nothing will happen inside the association itself, but getting you into an ambulance or police car is still an option. And that ambulance or police car goes missing? Exactly. Yu-hyun smiled. How can he smile at that? The more I think about it, the more I feel like I should have just avoided Yu-hyun and lived on my own. Then again, as long as I don't give up my perfect nurturer title, I'll end up getting involved with other A and S classes, so interference is inevitable. In that case, maybe it's better to trust my back to a reliable brother. The world of hunters is pretty harsh. It's relatively peaceful below C class. No, not really. The bottom has its own wars. The difference is that instead of planting spies for subtle sabotage, they just throw punches openly. Is there anything else I should be aware of? You might as well tell me now. Just stick to the basics. Don't accept things from strangers, don't go to dark and deserted places, and even if the elderly ask for help, don't follow them. Yes, sir, I'll be home by 9, send the taxi number, and call if I'm running late. Should I wear a child safety necklace too? I think a GPS tracker would be better. Can't even joke around. People of the world, please get along so that I can live in peace. I looked down at the purring flame-horned lion in my arms. From now on, your name is Peace. The world should be about love and peace, after all.
Chapter 12. The weather had gotten a bit hotter than yesterday. I was wandering around Myeongdong Station, an ice bar in my mouth. A barbecue place near Myeongdong Station. That was the only lead I had on the current whereabouts of the ice witch, Park Ye-rem. Excuse me, does a student named Park Ye-rem live here? No, no one by that name lives here. Another dead end. I marked an X on the map on my phone. I checked all the places on this street, so I guess I'll head over to the other side. There are more BBQ joints than I expected. As I took another bite of the nearly finished ice bar and glanced back, I saw Kim Sung-han trailing behind, dressed in an outfit that was ridiculously hot for the weather. I wanted to help him become S-class, but I couldn't see a way to do it. Yoon Myung-woo's case was a stroke of luck, but how could I find a reason to tell that guy I love him? Maybe I should try to set up a drinking session. Should I just pretend that drunkenly confessing my love is my usual habit? Of course, just saying the keyword isn't enough. He'd have to feel something too, so I'd have to get closer to him first. How do I get closer? Maybe alcohol is the answer. Does he even like to drink? I crossed the street and headed toward a barbecue place tucked into a corner. The thought of alcohol made my mouth water at the smell of grilling meat. The menu on the wall of the place showed that they also served gopchang, grilled intestines, and mukchang. Gopchang is great. The fatty, sizzling gopchang, crispy like cotton candy, washed down with a cold beer. Some gyeopsal with soju is good, but I love gopchang. I want some gopchang. It's a bit early, but it's a decent time for dinner. Should I eat first and then continue the search? As I approached the barbecue place with the ice cream stick in my mouth, "Everything is my fault, huh?" With a sharp shout, the glass door suddenly swung open. The small bell attached to the door jingled violently as if it might break. "It's all that bastard Park Soo-chan's doing! Who are you to be screaming like that? Get over here!" A girl in a tracksuit stormed out of the place, glaring daggers back inside. Her face was filled with rage, but it was one I definitely recognized. Park Ye-rem, right? "Hey, you! Just die, all of you!" Park Ye-rage shouted and then took off running. "Where are you going? Wait a second!" I immediately took off after the quickly disappearing girl. She's just a middle schooler, and I'm an adult, albeit an F-class awakened one, so I should catch up quickly. Why is she so fast? Has she already awakened? Watch out for a car! I hesitated as a car blocked my way, and the distance that had briefly narrowed widened again. I should have worn my gloves and belt. If I hadn't taken them off because of the heat, I could have caught up to her by now. Still, I clearly saw the direction she went. After the car passed, I crossed the street and ran in the direction Park Ye-rem had headed. It wasn't long before I reached a wooded hill. Among the trees at the edge of Namsan, I spotted a girl sitting haphazardly on the ground. I should confirm it first. She might be someone else. I used the sapling skill, and even from this distance, her status window appeared. Unawakened ? Park Ye Rim. Awakening potential stat rank A to S. Optimized initial skills, Shadowless Day, SS, Hermes Shoes, S, and White Corpse, S. I expected her awakening potential to be S rank, but seeing that she had an SS rank optimized initial skill was a bit surprising. But more than anything, there's nothing even close to ice related. Her optimized initial skills were all ones I had never heard of, despite being famously known as the Ice Witch. That fact alone was shocking, even beyond surprising. She became that famous with skills that didn't even match her? Just how much of a genius is she? I'm so jealous. But these skills, I have no idea what they do. Hermes Shoes likely had something to do with flight or agility, but I couldn't even guess the traits of Shadowless Day or White Corpse. Unfortunately, my skill couldn't show the actual details of the skills. I just hope they're not support skills. But with S-class stats, Han Eugene. Geez, I was startled as Songhan suddenly appeared next to me. He had a look on his face that asked what I was doing. I sense a strong energy from that student. I'm going to approach her. Please wait here. Saying I sense a strong energy makes me sound like some kind of cultist. Songhan glanced at Park Ye Rim and silently nodded. All right, now how do I approach her? I racked my brain as I slowly walked toward Park Ye Rim. The young girl was still sitting with her back turned, so I couldn't see her expression. But there was a deep sadness in her posture. Her slender shoulders were hunched, and she looked pitiful. Hey there. Can we talk for a minute? I spoke in the gentlest voice I could muster. I'm not a harmless person. I swear. Please believe me. Park Ye Rim turned her head to look at me. She wasn't crying, but her eyes were red. There were marks on her lower lip from biting it hard. Hi there. I'm not looking for a sugar daddy. That's not the reason I'm here for. What do you take me for? The atmosphere, which had been as thin as ice, shattered in an instant. How did this turn into that kind of situation? You're Park Ye Rim, right? At my words, she sluggishly stood up. Then she gave me a suspicious glare. Are you a stalker? No, I'm not. Not only a sugar daddy, now I'm a stalker too. This is unfair. Even before my regression, I was clean when it came to that sort of thing, though I was a mess in other ways. I'm someone who owed your parents a favor a long time ago. I decided to use the "we actually have a connection you didn't know about" approach again. She's too wary to just come out and say I'm here to scout her. My parents? Yeah, I'm not suspicious, really. You seem pretty suspicious for a random old man.
Old man? Well, I guess I do look like one to a middle schooler. I'm already almost 30. No, wait, I've regressed. I'm still in my 20s. I'm still in my mid-20s, you know. Did you serve in the military? Yeah. Then you're an old man. Not being able to awaken and having to serve in the military was bad enough. But this is just too much. Just thinking about relying on her for protection is already giving me an ulcer. She had a tough personality even as a kid. Anyway, I want to support you. So you are a sugar daddy after all, officer. I'm not. I'm telling you, I'm not. Look, here's my hunter license and guild ID. I quickly pulled out my wallet and showed her my license and guild ID. Park Ye Rim raised an eyebrow as she looked at them. What's this? Your F class? You look like you're struggling to make ends meet, let alone support anyone. This kid sure knows how to hit where it hurts. Could you at least look at my guild ID? Hyeon Guild? That's a famous place. Yeah, you know the guild leader of Hyeon, Han Yu-yan, the S-class hunter. He's my brother. Park Ye Rim gave me a surprised look and scrutinized me again. That really handsome guy? You don't look much alike. He's an oppa to you, huh? He didn't serve in the military. S-classes are exempt anyway. Then I'll revise it to capable oppa. It hurts more because it's true. Still, maybe she felt a little sorry for me because she added, "Actually, now that I look closer, you do kinda resemble each other." Having a capable younger brother is a capability too, so don't make that sad face, mister. When did I? Your face looks like you just crawled out of a mud pit after 5 years. What is this? Does she have the ability to read minds or something? Let's set that aside for now. I can wake you an awakened person. An awakened person? Park Ye-rim's eyes lit up with interest. Being an awakened person is a hot job right now, so it's popular among kids too. Of course, only if they're C-class or higher. Like any job, the bottom doesn't count. Yeah, my skill allows me to turn others into awakened people. Plus, with the guild leader backing me up, I can help you get settled. But what's the point if I end up as an F-class like you? Don't worry, your rank will be at least B-class. At my confident words, she tilted her head. You can tell that too? I can. It's a secret though. What if I don't keep the secret? You're not very cautious for a guy claiming that. That's what contracts are for. You'll only awaken after we've signed one. If you refuse to sign and blab about it, who's going to believe you? You wouldn't even have any evidence. There are tons of wild rumors online about how to become awakened. Even if she talks about a skill that can awaken others, it won't cause much of a stir. There are already plenty of scammers claiming similar things, so she'd probably just be suspected. After a moment of thinking with a slight furrow in her brow, Park Ye-rim finally spoke. If I become an awakender, can I live on my own? I don't want to live with my uncle anymore. You can be independent. After the first dungeon shock, when a lot of minor awakeners appeared, they made a special law. Starting from age 14, as long as you stick to dungeons 2 levels lower than your rank, you can have the same rights as an adult hunter. In other words, you can join a guild without your guardian's consent. High Aeon Guild has dorms, so you can move out as soon as you register as a hunter. The issue of minors entering dungeons is still controversial. The law was problematic from an ethical standpoint, but when dungeons first appeared, there were very few awakened people. With dungeons popping up everywhere, they had no choice but to rely on even children. The restriction of only allowing minors to enter dungeons 2 levels below their rank kept the death rate of minor hunters low. This restriction is lifted after completing 10 dungeons without incident, or upon reaching the age of 18. After the awakening centers were established and the number of awakened people increased, they gradually raised the age limit for entering dungeons. That's the right thing to do. But since the special law hasn't been revised yet, there's no problem with Park Ye-rim becoming independent. But wouldn't it be inconvenient without a guardian? You're still young. No thanks. It's much better to not have a guardian. If things stay like this, I'll end up running away anyway. Park Ye-rim said sullenly. Run away? Did she actually do that? I think I might have seen it in an interview or something. Is your uncle treating you badly? Except for when I go to school, he works me to the bone without giving me a single won. He took all my parents' money, and yet he uses me as an excuse to act like a saint who's taking care of a helpless child. He even sold our apartment to open that restaurant, and then he pretends to be a good person to everyone around him. Her voice, which had started in anger, ended in a tearful tone. When money's involved, some people will throw family ties away without a second thought. Still, if he got a whole inheritance, he could at least take care of her. That's just too much. If you want, I can help you legally too. Most big guilds had several lawyers on retainer. High Aeon Guild surely did too, and they jump at the chance to help with anything related to an S-class awakened person from the guild. No, I just don't want to have anything to do with him ever again. All right, as you wish.
Standing here talking is a bit much, though. Even if it's early, how about we get dinner? I still needed to talk more before I could use my skill. I'm guessing you don't like gopchang, so what do you want to eat? No, I like it. My uncle's restaurant's food is awful, though. There's a famous place nearby, so follow me. It's a bit pricey. Is that okay? Of course it's okay. Order whatever you want.
I have High-End Guild's corporate card. I brought it with me under the guise of using it to entertain any A-class or higher prospects I found. So go ahead and eat till the pillars of the place collapse. It's fine.
Chapter 13. Sizzle. The richly marbled sirloin steak made a mouth-watering sound as it landed on the grill. Beside it, the Hanwoo gopchang, beef intestines, sizzled, its fat bubbling up deliciously. The world is definitely worth living in. A drink of soju and beer would have been perfect with this, but that didn't seem appropriate for the situation. You can have a drink if you want. Huh? You look like you really want one. I'm used to seeing drunk people all the time, so don't worry about it. Is my expression that obvious, or is she reading my mind? I can't get drunk when we're dealing with contracts. Besides, the person sitting in front of me isn't exactly someone I can take lightly. I'm afraid if I get drunk, you'll take me for everything I've got. Maybe it's not that I'm tough, but that you're too easy. Park Yerim laughed, her previous bad mood completely gone. We had chosen a private room for easier conversation, so there were no other customers nearby. Not that there were many customers at this odd hour anyway. Kim Sung-han had declined the invitation to join us for dinner, instead inspecting the restaurant before heading outside to wait. I'm seriously considering giving up on turning him into an S-class. We're just not getting any closer. So, are you really acquainted with my parents? Park Yerim asked as she picked up a piece of meat. If I wasn't, how else could I have found you so easily? I wasn't very close to them, but they did help me out when I was younger. When you were younger? Yeah, I lost my parents early too. I struggled a lot to take care of my younger brother. I'm really laying it on thick with my sob story, but that's what works best in Korea. The tragic tale of someone who lost their parents and had no one to rely on. Sympathy for the orphaned can take you far, even to the presidency. Your parents gave me a bit of help back then. It was about 10 years ago, so you wouldn't remember. Of course, I don't remember either. I poured soda into my glass and continued talking. Before I awakened, I was too busy just trying to survive to think about reaching out. Even though I had an S-class brother, we weren't on good terms until recently. Really? Now that you mention it, I've never heard much about the high-end guild leader's family. We just reconciled a few days ago. I awakened, got some useful skills, and made up with my brother. Now that my life's a bit more stable, old memories started coming back. It's a bit selfish, isn't it? How is that selfish? Look at my uncle. There are people who repay kindness with cruelty. Just the fact that you remembered it all is something. Park Yerim said, as she puffed up her cheeks, which were soon filled with a hearty bite of meat wrapped in a lettuce leaf. She eats well. Hey, that's a chili pepper. I'm good with spicy food. She said this while dunking raw garlic into the samjang sauce and adding it to her wrap. How many cloves of garlic can one person eat? I can't handle it unless it's roasted. So I just need to sign a contract with you now? Yeah. Awakening can happen immediately or take a few days, depending on the situation. It shouldn't take too long. I hope it happens right away. It'll be chaos if I go back home. Half of it is luck, but I'll do my best. How should I bring up the keyword? Maybe I should talk more about her parents. I took out a contract from my inventory. Park Yerim's eyes widened as the parchment appeared out of thin air. That's an inventory, right? It's the first time I've seen one in person. You can only store items related to dungeons, but it's convenient. You can't store ordinary items. Only those that come from dungeons or are made entirely from dungeon materials can be stored in an inventory. There are 3 conditions for the contract. You must not disclose my skill to anyone. You'll be responsible for my protection for the next year, and you'll sign a contract with High-End Guild. Your protection? Yeah, I'm only F-class, so I need someone to protect me. That's why I was looking for someone suitable with my skill, and you caught my eye. Still, it's kind of embarrassing to rely on a 15-year-old for protection. Not at all. Even a 10-year-old with high enough stats would be stronger than me. So it's not embarrassing. At this point, what's there to be embarrassed about? I replied nonchalantly as I pulled out a pen. Even the pen and ink are made from dungeon materials. I opened the contract and started writing down my terms when Park Yerim leaned in to take a closer look. 20% decrease in all stats for a year if the contract is broken? That's it? Doesn't seem like much of a penalty. A 20% decrease means the highest level of dungeon you can clear drops by 1 rank. That's a huge difference in income. But you could just take a break for a year. That's true, but this is a contract guaranteed by the Hunter Association. Breaking it would tank your credibility. Depending on the severity, it could even get your hunter license suspended. That's why, unless there's something shady going on, contracts backed by the Hunter Association are far more reliable than illegal contracts with severe penalties. I thought awakened contracts had all sorts of scary penalties. Some do, but they're illegal. Stats are only something awakened people have, though. Will this contract even have any effect? It will. This is based on a curse skill, and even non-awakened people can be affected by skills, so your physical abilities would decrease by 20%. A curse, huh? That's a bit creepy. I finished writing down my terms and signed the contract. Park Yerim quickly gestured for the pen, eager to sign. I just write my name, right?
But just as she was about to sign, I yanked the contract away. Uh-huh. Park Yerim looked at me in confusion. You're still just a kid, after all. Why? What's wrong? She asked, her voice sharp as if she was sulking. I waved the contract in front of her. You should read it carefully before signing. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong, huh? You forgot to include your own terms. You're right, Park Yerim murmured in a daze. The contract only contained my demands. Her face turned a bit red, embarrassed at her oversight. I just forgot, okay? Sure, it's easy to forget. But that kind of excuse doesn't fly when it comes to contracts. Becoming an awakened person, a hunter, means taking on adult responsibilities. You get the same rights as an adult, but you also take on the same obligations. I took the pen back and added clauses for her awakening and support in the contract. Also, contracts are usually negotiated. I've already told you that you have the potential to become a high-ranking awakened, at least B class, which is very advantageous for you. You could get treated well anywhere, and if you end up A class or higher, you'd have a free pass into one of the top 3 guilds. I pointed to the condition about contracting with Haiyan Guild. But signing this contract without negotiating the terms with the guild would be foolish. You're agreeing to unfavorable conditions just because I said I would awaken you. I crossed out the existing Haiyan Guild contract clause and replaced it with a priority contract based on industry standards or higher. There, now it's a fair contract. Park Yerim looked at me with a mixture of sulking and surprise. After a moment of silence, she finally spoke. So, what do you want me to do? Is she angry? It might have sounded like nagging, but what I'm saying is that you're still at an age when you need an adult's help. Once you awaken, a lot of people will approach you. Even if you're just B class, you can enter D class dungeons, and after 10 successful clearance, you can enter B class dungeons too. An orphaned middle schooler with an annual income of tens of billions of won? What an easy target. And she's actually S class. If that gets out, it'll cause a stir, not just in Korea, but internationally. Some of them will try to take advantage of you, pretending to be good people, just like I did. And you'll be easy to trick, as you've just experienced. Park Yerim's eyes were glued to the contract. Her expression was still stiff, but she looked more contemplative than angry. But I really don't want to stay with my uncle. Yeah, I get it. He's not the kind of person you'd want as a guardian. You'd be lucky if he didn't steal all your money and run off. He'd definitely run off with it. The mention of her uncle lightened the tense atmosphere a bit. If you're okay with it, I'd like to take on that role. Isn't that what you meant by offering to support me? It's different. A mere sponsor can't intervene in a hunter's business. But if you have a guardian, even if you make an unfavorable contract, they can contest it. Usually that's what parents do.
Just being related by blood doesn't automatically make someone a hunter's guardian. The hunter has to designate them. So, I'm asking if you'd like me to play the role of your parent? I coughed awkwardly, on purpose. It was actually kind of embarrassing. Even before my regression, I wasn't old enough to have a 15-year-old daughter. Parent? Yeah. Of course, I'm not the best fit for the role, and I have a lot of shortcomings. Why would you go that far for me? You said my parents only gave you a little help. Because I've struggled too. It's partly a lie, but also partly true. Maybe it's just a form of vicarious satisfaction, thinking about how things might have been different if I'd had someone strong to rely on back then. Not that I look all that strong. You think you're strong enough? Really? Do you need me to say it again? She didn't seem like she wanted to give me a second compliment. I guess it's my fault for not being satisfied with just one. Anyway, I understand. Park Yurim blushed and rubbed her cheek with her palm, embarrassed. Well then, I'll be counting on you? Yeah, me too. So, I should have just had that drink. I regretted it, but it was too late now. I had no choice but to say it sober. It was natural to feel like I was dying of embarrassment. But with that reaction, non-awakened Park Yurim has been moved by the keyword.
Chapter 14. Whew! Finally resolved another one. Now all that's left is to wrap up the contract and help with the awakening. This is so embarrassing, saying all this stuff I'm not used to. Hurry up and sign. I'll awaken you. All right. That was so funny. Don't laugh. Your neck's all red, too. You're not so different, you know? Park Yurim giggled as she signed the contract. Once both signature lines were filled, the contract glowed faintly and its surface turned smooth, as if it had been laminated. Yurim, curious, started to touch the contract. Now it can't be edited anymore, huh? It shouldn't be, anyway. I took the contract back and stored it in my inventory. With that, everything was ready. All right, I'm going to use the awakening skill. Wait a second. She raised her hand, then sat up straight as if preparing for meditation. She took a deep breath. Will I awaken right away? If you're lucky, it can take up to a week at most. The promising talent skill works instantly, but I set the expectation at a week just in case. Who knows if I'll be able to apply the keyword immediately for the next person I help awaken. Okay, go ahead. She didn't need to be so tense. I used the promising talent skill to optimize and awaken Park Yurim. And soon enough, a message window just popped up. Mister, how do I check my rank? Think about opening your status window, or you can just say it out loud. Status window. Oh? Whoa! Yurim's mouth fell open, and her entire face looked like it was etched with the word shock. Well, it's no wonder. With S-rank stats, and even an SS-rank skill, anyone would be surprised. Yurim, all excited, placed her hands on the table and, Mister, I'm an S-crack? Did the table just break? Or did her hand go right through it? The thick tabletop had caved in exactly in the shape of her hand. Incredible. Don't move. Yuhyun did say that those ranked C or higher struggle to control their newly enhanced physical abilities, and Yurim is S rank. This is bad. Right now, your strength is way beyond what it used to be, so don't touch anything. Got it? Okay. Good. Let's get out of here carefully. Move very slowly. Think of it like walking softly and silently, one step at a time. Yurim slowly and cautiously got up from her seat. Her movements were as precarious as walking on a tightrope. Watching her made me feel as uneasy as if I were standing in front of a child who could fall at any moment. It was a relief that we were on the ground floor with no basement. Even if the floor collapsed, no one would get hurt. Slowly, one step at a time. That's it, just like that. I think I'm getting a little used to it. Don't rush it, though. Yuhyun said it takes a day to fully adapt. While keeping my eyes on her, I slid open the door. I put on my shoes first, and then picked up Yerim's sneakers. They were pretty worn out. They even looked too big for her. Can't her uncle at least buy her new shoes instead of handing down used ones? Let me put them on for you, so lift your foot. Okay, it feels a bit unstable to stand on one leg. Then sit down carefully, slowly. She left a slight handprint on the floor. At least it was just a small dent, unlike the table. She giggled as I slipped her sneakers on. Isn't this kind of exciting? Exciting? More like terrifying. Why would this be exciting? After reminding her again not to touch anything, I headed to the counter. I need to pay for the table. Excuse me, I'd like to pay. Also, one of the tables got a bit damaged. A fly. No. Crack. The edge of the dining table crumbled like a biscuit. Yerim let out a sheepish laugh. I always catch bugs in restaurants. It's become a habit. Don't laugh. The employee behind the counter stared wide-eyed at the table, then at Yerim, then back at the table. I apologized and handed over my card. Please include the cost of the dining table and that seats table as well in the bill. Feel free to charge extra. The journey back to High End Guild was relatively smooth. Sure, the headrest in the car's front seat got smashed, and a paving stone cracked under Yerim's foot when she stepped out, but as long as no one got hurt, it's fine. So, Yerim, please stop trying to get so close to me. I get that sudden changes might make you anxious, but if you grab me even once, my arm's gonna get crushed. My stats are F rank, okay? At High End Guild, I only informed Yuhyun about Park Yerim. It was better to keep it quiet until the Hunter Association could handle the rank assessment and the news was officially released. I didn't want any unnecessary attention or trouble. Kim Song-han was on high alert, keeping an eye out so that no unlucky bystanders became victims as we headed for the elevator. It was a huge relief that there weren't many people in the lobby since it was a weekend evening. We bypassed the security check required to access floors beyond the third, thanks to Yuhyun's prior notice. This is kind of exciting. As soon as the elevator doors closed, Yerim moved closer to me again. I told you to keep your distance. There's nowhere for me to dodge here. I won't touch you. You think I can't control that much? You smashed the headrest to pieces. If there'd been someone in that seat, you'd have been a killer. At the word killer, Yerim's lips curled into a pout. Maybe I'd been too harsh, but it was better to give her this kind of warning now than later. The difference between a non-awakened person and someone with S-rank stats was so vast that it was almost like they were from different species. To prevent any accidents, she needed to constantly remind herself that she wasn't ordinary anymore. When we arrived at the guild leader's office, Yuhyun was waiting alone. He greeted us with a businesslike smile. Welcome, Miss Park Yerim. Hello? She greeted him awkwardly, bowing slightly. I didn't think she was the shy type. What's up with that?
First, I'll show you to the place where you'll stay while you get used to your new abilities. Most people with S-rank stats adjust within a day. After that, you'll be able to return to your usual routine, so there's no need to worry. Yuhyun explained politely. It felt a bit unfamiliar seeing him like this. Considering the value of an S-class awakener, this was probably the proper way to handle things. Had I been too casual with Yerim? Please follow me. Yuhyun led the way out of the room. What should I do now? It's about time to feed peace. Should I go? Mister, why aren't you coming? Yerim gestured for me to follow, glaring as if to say, Are you coming or what? Come to think of it, I did agree to be her guardian. I guess I should follow. We took a different elevator this time, one that didn't stop on floors 1 through 3, and descended to the basement. The lower floors housed training facilities for awakeners. As we walked down a long corridor, Yuhyun continued to explain. Basements 2 and 3 are dedicated to training. However, for advanced combat training beyond A rank, you'll need to go to our training center in Gyeonggi Province for safety reasons. Especially with skills that have lethal potential, their use is strictly prohibited in urban areas. Sounds like there's a lot I need to learn.
You'll receive formal training after you register as an awakener. Until then, just be careful when using your skills. Okay? Speaking of skills, I wonder what yames are. I'm curious. This is the fitness room where you'll stay for the day. We arrived at a spacious room filled with various exercise equipment. The high ceiling and the walls and floors, which didn't look like they were made of ordinary materials, caught my eye. You can use any of the equipment here without worrying about damaging it. Use it to get a feel for your new strength. The walls and floors are also designed to withstand the strength of an S-class at level 1. Does your strength stat exceed 100? No, it's 61. That should be fine then. 61? That's 3 times my total stat. 15 times just in terms of strength. Having 15 times the stats doesn't mean the actual strength is 15 times greater, but the difference is definitely insurmountable. The shower room and sleeping quarters are over there. Those facilities can also withstand damage, but please try to familiarize yourself with your strength before using them. What if I need something? You can request it using the phone in the sleeping quarters. If the phone breaks, press the emergency button next to the door. Yuhyun asked if she had any other questions, and Yedim shook her head in response. Then let's discuss the rest tomorrow after you've adapted to your new abilities. With that, Yuhyun turned to leave. Guess I should go feed Peace now. He's probably waiting. Mister, where are you going? As I started to turn, Yedim shouted at me. Where am I going? Home? You're just going to leave me here after saying you would take responsibility? She's not wrong, but the way she said it was a bit odd. Yuhyun, who had been about to leave, turned his head to look at me. Responsibility? Hyung. I agreed to be her guardian. Guardian? She doesn't have parents, and she doesn't get along with her uncle. She doesn't want anything to do with that household anymore. What's wrong with that? But Yuhyun didn't seem pleased. The guardians of minor awakeners are usually higher ranked or similarly ranked awakeners. That's the only way to control them. If she really needs a guardian, then But I already agreed that Mr. would be my guardian. Yedim cut Yuhyun off, her tone cold and sharp, reminiscent of the ice witch, Park Yedim, from both the past and the future. Why was she suddenly so sensitive? Miss Park Yedim, for the sake of your guardian's safety, that can't happen. There have been numerous cases where lower-ranked guardians, without a familial bond, have been assaulted by their charges. I hadn't thought about that. Managing a highly powerful, emotionally turbulent teenager wouldn't be easy, would it? The more I thought about it, the more daunting it seemed. I wondered if the contract's clause that Yedim was supposed to protect me would be enough. I signed a contract to protect Mr., so there's no issue with safety. Besides, I have no intention of hurting him in the first place. Even so, whether Hyung can properly fulfill the role of guardian is a separate issue. The huge difference in rank will bring up various other issues as well. I don't care about any of that. But Yedim glanced at me before continuing. If you don't let Mr. be my guardian, I won't join Haeyoung Guild. What? Wait a minute.
Chapter 15. Yurim, you signed a contract to join Haeyeon Guild, remember? It was a priority, not an absolute. Didn't you help me revise that, mister? Yes, I did. Yurim spoke in a sharp tone. I'll add a condition to my contract with Haeyeon Guild that Mr. will be my guardian. I saw on TV that even A ranks can attach all sorts of extra conditions. Usually it's about getting items, but there's no reason it can't be a person, right? That's true, but why me? Does she even remember that we've known each other for less than a day? There's no need for such stubbornness. Is this some kind of side effect of awakening? All right, let's calm down for a second. There's no need to add that condition to the contract. Appointing a guardian is your right, Yurim. Her expression softened at my words. Really? Then I don't have to listen to the guild leader? Exactly, as long as I agree. Hyung. Now it's your turn, huh? I was wondering when you'd step in. You need to think carefully about this. We're talking about an S-class here, not some other rank. From my own experience, I can tell you that every kind of creep will start crawling out of the woodwork the moment they hear about a young S-class. And Yurim is only 15, so it'll be even worse. But losing an S-class would be worse, right? Being in a guild would cover that to some extent. As long as Yurim doesn't ignore my advice, it should be fine. She's not that bad of a kid, is she? I'm nice, Yurim said flatly, moving closer to me. If she could control her strength, she'd probably have grabbed my arm and pulled me closer. I've just gotten a bit rough around the edges because of my uncle, especially that bastard Park Suchion. But I'm actually nice. My elementary school teachers used to praise me all the time. Then could you back up a little? Just one step? No, 2 steps. I'm scared she'll grab my arm out of excitement. One tug and it'd probably pop right off. Yurim obediently stepped back, then stared at me as if to say, "See, I'm good." Okay, I admit it. You're nice. I sighed inwardly and turned back to my brother. How did I end up caught between these two? As the guild leader, your first priority should be securing an S-class, no matter what. Why are you being so stubborn? An S-class that's out of control is worse than none. Even so, it's better to secure her first and then negotiate a transfer for a hefty price. Transfer? You mean sending her somewhere else? Yurim edged closer again. Can't she keep a safe distance? That's only if you're too headstrong. But you said you're nice, so there shouldn't be a problem, right? Right, I'm nice. No problem then. She stepped back again, as if to prove her point. Good, just stay there quietly. More importantly, as I said before, the guardian issue is between Yurim and me. You can offer advice as the guild leader, but anything beyond that is overstepping. Yuhyun let out a short sigh at my words. If you insist, I won't stop you, but be careful. In the world of awakeners, nothing matters more than rank. It might be okay now, but there's no guarantee it won't change. As he spoke, Yuhyun Legan glanced at Yurim. Yurim didn't shy away and met his gaze head-on. Their staring off was icy, and being stuck between them was giving me a headache. We were getting along fine just a moment ago. Why does this guardian issue have to be such a big deal? Nothing matters more than rank? So that applies to you too, right, guild leader? Oh, you just made up with Mr. a few days ago. I guess that rank caused the rift, didn't it? What? Did Yurim just throw down the gauntlet? I only kept my distance to protect him. That's different from someone who selfishly wants to keep him close. Yurim's expression darkened with anger at the accusation of selfishness. Yuhyun, if she gets so mad she loses control, you might be fine, but I'm in danger here. Both of you stop. I quickly intervened before the situation could escalate. Why are you picking a fight over something so trivial? This isn't trivial. It's not trivial. Damn it, fine, it's a big deal. Why do you two only agree when it's against me? Anyway, let's leave it at that. If you want to keep arguing, go ahead, but I'm out of here. Hyung? Mister, are you upset? Why would I be upset? I'm just scared. If you two slip up, I'm dead. I won't mess up. I'm past the point of making those kinds of mistakes. Yurim glared at Yuhyun. I'll adapt soon enough. Fine, just stop this tension in front of me. I feel like a shrimp caught between whale fights. It's bad for my heart. Both of them shut up at that. At least they listen well. The guardian issue is settled. And Yurim, I'm sorry, but I can't stay here with you. It's too dangerous if equipment gets broken and debris starts flying, but I'll come down early tomorrow. Okay. Yurim seemed dissatisfied, but she nodded. By the way, even if you don't get along with him, shouldn't you let your uncle know where you are? It'll be a hassle if he files a report. No need. I've stayed out at friends' houses plenty of times after fights. Just let the school know. All right. See you tomorrow. I left the training room and headed for the elevator. My brother walked beside me, still looking unhappy about the guardian thing, but staying silent. What's her current guardian like? Yuhyun asked me as I pressed the elevator button. A guy who cares more about money than family. He took all of Yurim's parents' inheritance and didn't even buy her new shoes. He also makes her work in his restaurant for free. Then he'll probably cause trouble later. 100%. So give me some money. You're going to bribe him? Something like that. I've dealt with people like that before.
Their greed is insatiable, so you can't just give them a little bit and expect them to be satisfied. You need to have a solid grip on their weak point. We can't afford to have our precious S-Class getting tarnished, right?
And since Yurim's here, I'll move to the staff dormitory too, I said as I watched the elevator doors open. High-end Guild has some external housing, but I can't live outside with Peace and all the people who'll be causing trouble because of the new S-Class. What are you doing? When I turned around in the elevator, I saw Yuxian holding down the door button with a disapproving look on his face. Do you like that girl so much? What kind of nonsense is this? I've known her for less than a day. There's no time to like or dislike her. You seem to be going out of your way for her, though. It's just basic decency to take care of a kid, especially when I brought her here to help me. If I didn't do this much, what kind of person would I be? I said the guardian issue was settled, so why bring this up again? Is it because I said I'd move to the dormitory? Just in case, I added, moving to the dormitory is just because it's more convenient. I'm not giving up my place, I'll just use both. It wouldn't be right to bring Yurim to your house, would it? Yuhyun's house has a greenhouse filled with dungeon creatures, not to mention several S-Class items he's labeled as personal collectibles. He can't just let anyone come and go. Having a separate place is more convenient, I guess. Yuhyun said as he finally stepped into the elevator. So, that's what it was about. I've got a separate house for receiving guests, too. You do? A detached house is better for meeting people quietly. Some folks don't like being in the spotlight. People who don't like being in the spotlight, huh? Unregistered awakeners, perhaps? Not all awakeners register with the association, of course, especially those who want to use their abilities in the real world against ordinary people, avoid the Hunter Association. After all, registering all their stats and skills would be like saying, come and arrest me. I briefly wondered if Yuhyun was up to anything shady behind the scenes, but I didn't ask. He's not like 100% clean. I wasn't exactly squeaky clean before I regressed. Well, no need to dig up the past. Miss Park Yurim will have to stay here for at least a year. Looks like there's a lot to prepare. Yuhyun said he'd be busy for a while and got off on one of the middle floors. I went straight home and headed to the greenhouse. Peace! The horned red cat wagged its tail excitedly behind the glass wall. It bounced around, looking overjoyed to see me. You cute little thing! I quickly opened the greenhouse door and took Peace out. Yang! Yeah. The warmth and softness of Peace as it clung to me instantly soothed my nerves. The stress is melting away. You're the best. Is this why people have pets? Let's go eat. Forget human S-classes. I'd rather raise a beast S-class. See how sweet and cute this one is. I set Peace down in the kitchen and opened the fridge to take out some raw meat. It wasn't beef, chicken, or pork, but monster meat. I put the bluish meat in a grinder and ground it finely. Then I took out a glass jar from my inventory. The jar, slightly smaller than a 500 milliliter water bottle, was filled with red mana stone powder. It contained the equivalent of 20 C-class mana stones, worth a staggering 200 million won. At this rate, I'm going to lose all sense of money. 10 days' worth of food for this little guy cost 200 million won. That's 600 million won a month. Like money has lost all meaning. Grrr. Peace circled around my feet, eager for its meal. All right, hold on. I'll feed you soon. I scooped out some mana stone powder with a measuring spoon and mixed it into the ground meat. Then I shaped it into balls about the size of half a fist. Peace, look here. Time to eat. Just like in those dog training videos, I used the meatball to get Peace's attention. Its golden eyes were locked on the food in my hand. Good. I love you, I said clearly as I gave the meatball to Peace. It happily gobbled it up. I repeated the process until all the meat was gone. How long will it take for the training to kick in? Since it seems to have the intelligence of a dog or cat, it shouldn't take long. Cure! Peace, now full, playfully nipped at my foot without hurting me. Maybe I should buy some toys. Would a cat toy be better or a dog toy? I picked up the bouncing Peace and went to the living room. I sat on the sofa and took out a lightweight cloth belt from my inventory and shook it in front of Peace, who immediately grabbed the end and started tugging. It's B rank, so it shouldn't tear, right? Grr. Easy. I'm not strong. Should I get those Manticore leather gloves?
But as the weather gets hotter, leather gloves might not be the best idea. Maybe I should ask the guild if they have any good items. Or should I level up instead? How much was that F-Class dungeon exclusive pass? If I want to go without Yuhyun knowing, I'll need an exclusive pass that guarantees secrecy. I don't remember exactly, since I only participated in auctions before regressing. The average bid for an upper F-Class dungeon was around 300 million won. For an exclusive pass, I'd have to pay at least twice that. Come to think of it, how much money do I have? I can't remember my bank balance from 5 years ago. There should be the 1 million won Awakening registration bonus, and did I have any savings? I think I quit my job to meet the Awakening broker, and I used my severance pay and savings to pay him off. As I recall, I didn't actually hand him the money, so there should be a decent amount in my account, but I'll need to check. What was my digital certificate password again? There's no way I remember. I've changed my password 3 times over the last 5 years due to reissues. How do those people who regress and plan to win the lottery remember all these details? I can't even remember my own password. Looks like I need to go to the bank too.
If I've got enough money, maybe I'll invest in stocks. What was rising back then? Come on, memory. There were a few stocks that skyrocketed due to new materials or substances related to dungeons. Which pharmaceutical company developed that hair loss treatment? Just then, my phone vibrated. I took it out of my pocket and saw a call from an unknown number. There was no ad warning, so who could it be? Peace, play by yourself for a bit. Hello? Hello, Han Yu Jin. A man's voice came through the phone. It sounded familiar. Who is it? This is Sak Kim Young, head of human resources at Haiyan Guild. Damn it, it's this guy. Should I just hang up?
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like the video. Have a suggestion? Let me know in the comments.